Hi, I'm Yew Foong. Welcome to my channel, KL Properties with Yew Foong. Malaysia has become a very popular destination for foreigners, whether for investment, a second home, or even retirement. That said, one question I get asked very often is, can foreigners really get a home loan here in Malaysia? And what about MM2H holders? Do banks treat them differently? So today I'm joined by Zeon, an experienced mortgage banker, to help us better understand how foreigners' mortgages work here in Malaysia. Hi Zeon, welcome.
Hi, Yew Foong. Hi, everyone. I'm Salman. Thank you for having me.
All right, Zeon, let's jump right in.
Okay.
So the main question today is, can foreigners really obtain a home loan here in Malaysia?
Yes, of course. For pure foreigner, for certain banks, they will be offering up to 50% margin of finance. But then, if let's say they are joining the bank as a private banking customer with certain deposit amount, then the margin of finance can be up to 70%.
So the answer is they definitely can obtain a home loan here in Malaysia for foreigners.
Yes, of
Okay.
course.
Okay, I guess it's definitely good news for foreigners out there that you definitely will be able to obtain a home loan as long as you have all the criteria met. So I just wonder, what are some of the criteria that the banks look for usually?
Okay, basically, you have to have a proper employment. So the bank may request the income document like payslip, bank statement, income tax, and etc. Okay. So the margin of finance also based on customer financial background and also the type of property they are buying.
So the type of property that they are buying also matters. So like, I know residential, they definitely can get
Yes.
home loan. What about properties like commercial and industrial?
Okay. So in Malaysia, some banks we follow Malaysia law. Foreigner buying a commercial property must be set up a own company, then the purchase is under company name, not personal name.
All right, so what about foreigners? Can they get multiple loans for
Okay.
different properties?
Good question, Yew Foong. Definitely can. If let's say the income is sufficient to cover the loan approval, there is no problem. My own experience, I did a pure foreigner loan before. This client took 5 loans from me.
Wow, 5 loans. I just want to ask a question. What nationality is this client, if you don't mind sharing with all of us?
It's Indonesian.
Okay. Okay, Xiaoman, let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, on the criteria. In the beginning, you did say that it is important to look at their employment, as long as they have proper employment. So what about people without employment, but they are maybe, net worth rich and they have a lot of capital, they have assets? Can they obtain loan?
Yes. Okay. For certain bank, proper employment is a must. But for certain bank, regardless they employ or no employ, as long as the client is high net worth, they're okay to accept. But maybe the margin of finance are not that high. Maybe just up to 50 to 70% like that only lah, or maybe lower.
So it really depends on the banks, the individual, and case by case basis, basically.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So in your years, many years as a mortgage banker,
Okay.
have you seen any individual with strong income but still get rejected by the bank?
No, because at the end of the day, the banks do look at the ability of the repayment.
Ability of repayment.
Yeah.
So that is still the number one cost.
Yes.
What about like if they are from certain countries, but they meet all the requirements? Are certain countries like, not really accepted?
Yes. Bank usually they have a list of resident country. If let's say the country is not in the list, then the bank will not finance for the customer.
I see. All right. Now my next question for you is, which is related to what I just asked you. Which are the top 3 countries favored by most banks here in Malaysia?
Very good question. You go usually Hong Kong,
Hong Kong,
Singapore,
Singapore,
Taiwan.
Taiwan. Any reason? Is it because they are nearer to us, or what's the reason?
Especially Hong Kong, I can say because usually their income quite high one.
Their income is very high in Hong
Yeah.
Kong. I see. All right. Xiaoman, compared to before, are banks more open to foreigner having a mortgage nowadays?
Not really. I can say last time will be more linear. Now quite difficult a little bit. You know why?
Why?
Because of the non-performance loan happens. Every year, the bank will be review the database from system. If let's say this pool of client, their payment is not on time, then the bank will be look at this pool of client and change the policy annually.
I see. So the list of countries that are favorable and the list of countries that are not favorable, it's basically depending on the performance, the payment, whether how much of bad debts that they have. So to take care of the bank's risk, basically.
Yeah, correct.
So Xiaoman, you said that the biggest thing that bank look for is the repayment ability, right? Anything else?
Okay. For those customer working in public listed company or multinational company will be favorable because big company the income will be more stable and then the income document sure is a genuine one.
Moving on, let's talk about MM2H. Any benefits? Easier to get approval or higher margins?
Yeah, of course, for certain banks, because they are holding a long-term connection with Malaysia.
I see. How much more benefits do they usually get?
You mean MM2?
Yes.
Okay, of course, will be the bank margin of finance will be higher compared a non-MM2H holder. I can say maybe additional 20% more.
Wow, that is really a very big benefit. Yeah. All right, Xiaoman, we are almost there.
Okay.
So what are some common mistakes that foreigners make when applying for loan here in Malaysia?
They never well prepared on their income document and also they underestimate the upfront costs like legal fees, stamp duty, valuation fees, and also the down payment on the property.
So if they underestimate all these costs, I'm sure you have experienced cases where halfway through they don't have enough money because it was not planned, then they have to cancel the whole deal. Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's very sad. Yeah, so make sure you are very well prepared and connect with a good banker who will inform you of all the documents and what are the payments that entirely needed. Finally, what is the advice you will give foreigners who are planning to buy property in Malaysia via mortgage for the first time?
Okay, my advice is before you purchase a property, look for a banker to understand more what is the bank document requirement. Okay, and also ask your agent what is the cost is involved.
The full cost, not just the property cost.
Yeah, correct. Then you will have more knowledge that how much cost that you have to pay to purchase a property and also how much income that's sufficient to get a loan approval.
Yeah, because I mean it's obviously a very exciting moment to sign on the dotted line to purchase a property, but what happens next is it may be quite crazy if you're not prepared for it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Xiaoman, for your time and your insights. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, and if you need a banker, a very experienced mortgage banker, just drop me a message on my WhatsApp number on the screen. And if you have any questions, drop me a message right below. Other than that, my name is Yew Foong. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to press the subscribe button. I'll see you in my next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.